that there's something so special about you and me, babe. So just say the words, cause you know what it means to me, babe.
Hello and welcome to the Babes in Sports podcast. I'm Jamie Hersch.
I'm Tory Z. Roy. We're two friends navigating being moms, wives, and successful women in the demanding, male-dominated world of sports.
Sports, woohoo, we're back. Quick overview for anyone who may be new to the pod. I have been a long time host in the studio and reporter, and now I'm trying to delve into the world of play-by-play, both in hockey and soccer. And so what I'm working on right now is mostly focusing on the NWSL. There's kind of playoff push time, the National Women's Soccer League. So I've got a couple games coming up that I'm really focused on. What are you working on, Tori?
I am coming to you live from Foxborough, Massachusetts, where tomorrow I'll be filming with the Patriots and their head coach, Mike Vrabel. Stay tuned. This is going to be a really cool piece coming to you for the start of the NFL season. It's that time of year. And yeah, I have been in the storytelling game for ESPN for about 15 years, dabble in a little writing for ESPN.com, sometimes reporting. Really, we're just covering everything for you guys, which, by the way, like, do you ever find yourself caught in that in between of mom life and sports life? Because like I'm trying to like prepare for my day tomorrow and I'm just like, I'm lost in the woods, like from Frozen 2, just like in my head, like, and I can't get it out. And like I need to go for a walk or something. Are you ever there?
Wow.
Like, does that ever happen?
Yes, always. I'm just impressed that that song has still withstood the test of time. That's years old, but for me, it's K-pop Demon Hunters right now. My gosh, the kids haven't even seen the movie. They're too young. I don't want them to see it yet, but the soundtrack is lit and they are obsessed. We listen to it almost every day on the ride to school.
That sounds cooler than Frozen 2. No offense to Frozen 2. I know it's a great film, but that's what I'm battling today.
For anyone who, again, is new, or even people who have listened, I hope you've enjoyed getting to know Tori and me, but we're hoping to start having some guests now that we're getting some traction. So stay tuned because we are going to try to share our stories and also hear the stories of so many other powerful women in the world of sports and also moms that are trying to do it all, if that's even something that is possible. So we're going to be along for the ride together.
Yes, and I know you all love us. I know, but we'll bring in some new voices so you don't get too tired of us too quickly. So thanks for being here.
Episode 3, let's go.
So today, ladies and gents, we're going to be talking about planning your life, aka marriage, kids, around sports. Let's time travel back to 2019, shall we? We had decided to have a baby in the spring so that by time I got through my maternity leave, I'd be back for football season, which, as I talked about earlier, is kind of like the crazy time. It's been like my priority for about 10 years. And at that point, yeah, professionally, socially sometimes, but mostly professionally. And as I read that, I think that's nuts. Like 6 years later, I'm like, I was so determined to have a baby in April and just so it could be ready and I could be ready by football season. Who does that? No one asked me to do that. No one really seemed to be like, oh, wow, so thank you so much for doing that. So you're back. We can't lose you in the fall. Not like anyone asked me. It was almost like it was a given that I was going to be back in the fall, no matter what I was going through with my life. And look, April is a beautiful time to have a baby. Am I right, James?
You are right.
Our boys are 2 weeks apart, by the way, so that's what that's about. But looking back, there are so many more important things to account for in life than the schedule of the National Football League. Like, I don't know, sometimes we've touched on this in the last 2 episodes, but it's like, I don't know where it comes from, but it's almost implanted into us when we start working in the industry, this work mentality, and then life stuff, but work. I'm so grateful that now at least I'm out of that mode, and I think being a mom has gotten me to that point. But not to mention, like, kind of an arrogant attitude to be like, oh yeah, poof, I'll have a baby, and poof, everything will be easy and fine, and then I'll be back in September and no problem. Like, things don't happen like that. As you become a mom and a parent, you see that like shit is hard. Like, you have no idea like how things are going to go to plan or not. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that things did fit on that timeline, but that's not always the case, even for me later in life. But I don't know. Things just started to shift for me at that point, and I was able to finally put, I think, the right priorities in line instead of, making all about the schedule. Like, we had talked about the US Open, and tennis is a big priority for me professionally as well. And I was planning to work that after I got back for football and was recovered from maternity leave. But the problem was where I happened to be stationed during the event up in Arthur Ashe Stadium, broadcast row, there wasn't a space where I could pump privately and store the breast milk. No one's fault. It's a tiny ass space up there. And anyone who works in TV knows all too well that cramped space is life. So it wasn't anyone's fault. I wasn't about to sit there with my pump and it wasn't comfortable. So I couldn't do it. And I hope things have changed in 6 years, that it's a little more accessible for moms. But that was a deal breaker. So, Jane, what do you remember about your decisions back in 2019 and beyond, coming back to work? That would you do anything different?
It's hard to say if I do anything different, but I definitely was right there with you in terms of like planning it around the season. And so for me, it may not sound like it makes sense for hockey, but hockey is the longest season out there because by the time the cup's over, it's almost July
Yep.
and then you're back at training camp in September. So there's no real good time to have a baby if you're going to try to be there for everything. But I also, like you, was like, spring sounds like a good time because then, yes, I will miss the Stanley Cup final, but I'll come back to work, quote unquote, in a very like in an off season mindset. And so it'd be nice to just ease back into it. And then by the time I am like full go October, start of the season, he'll be almost 6 months old. So to your point, so arrogant. And knowing what I know now about the rates of miscarriage and the complications and infertility struggles and all of that, I'm almost embarrassed to talk about trying to play God and like plan like when my baby should be born. It did work out that way
Same.
for me. But anytime I hear someone say that now, I just cringe because how lucky are we that we get to even have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby, let alone trying to plan it around our sports schedules. Again, like you, thankful that it worked out. But if I were to ever have another baby, I think I would just be thrilled to have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby, no matter what. Like work should not matter. So that's kind of my thinking about it. Same thing for round two. I mean, I definitely planned it a little less and didn't know if it would take a long time to, get pregnant the second time, whatever. We ended up having a summer baby. And so it was a little bit shorter of a maternity leave before I was like fully back. But I think I missed the first week or two of the season. And again, going back to what we talked about in episode 2, by that time I realized, work is secondary. My family comes first. And so if I have to miss opening night of the NHL season because I'm on week 11 of paternal leave, or parental leave, rather, maternal leave. I'm a mom. If I have to miss that, then it is okay. So yeah, that's, I'm with you, girl. Same. And mat leave is also a tricky subject. Like, have you had young moms or people who are thinking about being a mom talk to you about the pressures of maternity leave while working in sports?
Not that specifically, but they have talked to me about, don't think I can do this and be a mom. So
Yeah.
that absolutely breaks my heart every time. So that's honestly what was my inspiration to text you that day and say, hey, do you want to do a podcast with me? Because
Hmm.
it's not talked about enough. It's not talked about enough. And
Yeah.
in our industry at the moment, and I know it's changing, I know the landscape is changing, but there are not enough higher up managerial positions that are women, that are mothers, that I think people feel comfortable going to when they have a question like
Mm-hmm.
that. So
Yeah.
to me, yes, I'm not high up or anything like that, but that's okay. Like, I still want people to come to me and say, like, I'm thinking about this. I really want to do it. Like, am I crazy? And the answer is
Yeah.
no, you are not crazy. And no one should make you feel that way. You should be doing things on your own timeline because you earn that. You deserve that like anyone else. I wish that I had that, but that doesn't mean it's not meant to be in the future, that we can take what we learned, especially from what we just said, the schedule of things. Like, I think we learned that the hardest, and we
Mm-hmm.
took away from it the blessings, right? So we can take that and
Right.
say, hey, take your time. IVF
Yes.
needs to happen.
Yes.
Fucking needs to happen. Like, whatever it takes. It's not anyone's schedule but yours. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the question I get the most. And then once they get through that step, then the mat leave questions come. But we're lucky in that, we get more time than I think our husbands did. So at least we can lean on that for the time being, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually didn't. My husband got more time with both kids, which is a whole other thing that I do want to touch on. But just starting with the whole idea of maternity leave, it is, unfortunately, I feel like it's a bit controversial in our industry, especially because there's this idea that you are replaceable, that there's, 1,000 other women specifically that would in a heartbeat snatch up your job and do it well. And then you might be left high and dry, and everything you worked for goes away because you decided to have a baby. And I really would encourage women who are thinking about that or thinking that way, having those thoughts creep in, to silence those thoughts and realize that there is room for all of us in this business. I mean, we have so many opportunities that are just growing by the year. And I think that's a really positive thing. So when it comes to maternity leave, only you know what's best for you, right? And like, if there are moms that feel like it's best for them and their mental health and their sanity to go back to work and get childcare help or whatever it is,
Yeah.
that I'm not gonna knock that entirely, but I will say that if I ever am asked the question, like, what do you think? How much time did you take? I always try to tell moms, especially first time moms, take as much time as you can legally, income wise, whatever it is, like whatever you're getting, like take as much time as you can, because you can always work more. You can always make more money, but you can never get that time back. And any parent will tell you that. I felt very blessed to be able to have a salaried position at the time, right? So like I did get most of my salary, and that is something that is not a convenience afforded to a lot of women, right? A lot of people in our industry are freelance. So if they take 12 weeks, like maybe they get some money from the state, but it's not going to be much. And so they feel that financial pressure to go back. But if you're able to take the time, you won't regret it. That would be my biggest piece of advice to anyone. And then kind of, I know I'm rambling, but second, hey, it's a podcast. That's what we do, right? We ramble.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. I wanted to touch on parental leave because my husband did get more time than I had. He had 20 weeks with each of our children. And that was because he worked for a tech company that was a little more kind of progressive in their policies and employee benefits. And it was called parental leave. So male or female, if you gave birth, if you adopted, it did not matter. You as a parent got 20 weeks and you had a year to take it whenever you wanted. And that is just so helpful because especially for women in any industry, but especially in ours, like I think our company changed, my previous company, I think they used to have like 2 weeks that dads would take or something, which is just terrible thinking about having to have your partner go back to work and leave you at home alone. Like I cried my eyes out when my husband had to go back after 3 weeks or chose to go back because then he saved the rest of his leave till after I went back full time. But that lightens the load so much on a woman when you know that a man who is going to expect a baby as well is going to take that time too. So if your husband, if your partner, or if you're a man listening and you have that policy, take the leave because it's so important for men to also have that time with a baby. And it's also important for society to expect both men and women to take time when they have a baby. Cheer that on for any company to promote that policy.
Could not agree more. And this is the stuff that, we're still learning along the way, right? Like we didn't know any of that. And we were just like, as we went along, we're like, my husband didn't get that much time. That sucks.
No,
like,
how much time did Jay get? Did he get like, how much time did he take?
He was able to get family leave when Braxton was born because Braxton was born with a heart condition that needed intervention pretty early. So for that reason, he got more time, which, was obviously needed. But when Sydney was born, I think it was about 3 weeks. So,
wow. Yeah.
You just roll with it, right? But I completely agree. Child bonding time, it's for both parents. It's not just the moms, like they need both of us there. And so do the dads. Like they're missing out on all that awesome stuff. So it's such an important point. And yeah, just don't doubt yourself out there.
And I think
it will benefit you in the end.
Yes, there are also companies too. There is still this mindset. I think that in a company, whether you're a person in a position of power or just a colleague of someone that's going to take time off, like you have that thought. If you have a woman, right, you're like, oh, well, she's of childbearing age. Like she might miss like 6 months or something. Like that thought should not even enter in. Like, so if we have more men who are taking that whole parental leave, then it makes it easier for women to get jobs, keep jobs, not have to worry about having a baby and maintaining their jobs. I mean, I know there are some legal protections, but there's a lot of work that can still be done to protect moms in the workplace, and the idea behind, supporting moms as they decide to grow their family. So anyway, soapbox. Yeah, whatever. Again, this is our podcast. We can talk about what we want, but I am very passionate about
No, but
maternity
you are
leave,
so passionate
paternity
about
leave.
it, and that's why we're here.
All right. This week we thought we'd do a segment called the Mom-barrasing Moment of the week, and somewhat related to our sports life. So we have so many of them, but this one specifically related to sports. I don't know if in my head, I just felt like my husband being athletic, me being athletic, me loving sports, working in baseball, having baseball on TV, whatever, would just like sort of just funnel baseballism into our children without any work. But that's apparently not the case. There's work that needs to be put in for a 6-year-old.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So my moment really is that we decided to sign my son up for Little League. And it's really exciting because we live in Summerlin, which is a suburb of Las Vegas, and the Little League team just won the national championship part of the Little League World Series. So it was a super fun time. We were, got watch parties. There was a parade here in town for the team, like the best possible scenario to get your kid excited about Little League, right? And to be fair, I want to point out this was Brooks's decision. He played soccer in the spring. I let him decide soccer or baseball, because every time we come home from soccer, he'd be out there in the back swinging the bat, and it's the big, wiffle ball bat basically. But he liked the idea of baseball. So I said, all right, let's do it. And he had done t-ball, but let's be real, Tory, our sons went through the same program. It was glorified tag, and like they'd hit off a tee for the last 10 minutes, but it was not real t-ball. So I guess I kind of missed a step in his development from going to that to what is actually taken very seriously here in Summerlin. And this is the first level of machine pitch. So somehow we skipped right past coach pitch, and now he is in machine pitch. We went to the batting cages for the first time yesterday. He made contact once in 10 minutes in the cage. And I was thrilled that he even did that, because the guy doesn't know how to hold a bat because mom didn't teach him. Dad didn't teach him really. And so this was just a really big, like, mom-barrassing moment where I'm like, of course he knows baseball. Of course, like, what do you mean? We always have baseball on TV. We talk about baseball. I work in baseball. No, dummy, just because you work in baseball doesn't mean your kid just absorbed that knowledge. Like, so I felt a little bit like a failure for not like literally sitting down and teaching him the game of baseball. He knows the bases, but like literally the fundamentals. Yeah, we've got quite a steep learning curve ahead of us. Oops.
I'm sorry. I can just see the look on your face, like while you're like realizing this information and processing it. And then I'm also imagining you guys like as if it's a Happy Gilmore and you're just at the batting cages, like taking it in the gut. Oh, poor Brooke.
Yeah.
I wish it was that easy, because then I wouldn't have to, drag Braxton out to play tennis with me every week. But I guess we have to put some work in.
I mean, I think that's great though. And yeah, I should we are going to be putting work in. Like that's the one thing my husband and I said. We're leaving last night. We're like, okay, we've got work to do. Not him. I mean, obviously he does too, but we need to help him be in a bit more position to have success. But it's okay. Part of me is like, that's what the coaches are for, right? These poor coaches are probably like, hello,
that's their job.
This kid has no idea what anything is, what's happening anywhere on the field. But, he's a really smart kid, and I think he's going to do great. I can't wait to revisit this conversation in a couple months, and hopefully he's not miserable and just enjoys being part of the team. And you know what? If he gets a hit, great. And if not, if he just runs the bases, because maybe he'll get a walk or something. I don't even know if that happens in machine pitch. So it'll be an educational process for all of us.
Exactly. This is how we learn. So congratulations, Summerlin Little League. Great examples to have for Brooks to, be around. So that'll be fun. It'll just naturally happen.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, mine is kind of like what we have touched on of, work calls and things like that. And it's just more, it wasn't it was kind of mom-barrassing, but it was also just like, what am I going to do about it? At this point, it's almost like it is what it is. But Jamie and I, we both get to work with former athletes that now work in TV, and it's really cool to call these people colleagues and almost friends most of the time. So because I'm in New England working on this story, I just got an unexpected call from Teddy Bruschi yesterday, and because we're collaborating on the Pats, and former linebacker from the Pats, and he's really good friends with Coach Vrabel. So I didn't expect the call, and I was with the kids, and I ran into the bathroom because that's usually the
So
bathroom is off
relatable.
limits. Not always, but we try. So while I was just leaned up against the sink trying to have this conversation, Braxton still managed to come in, and he goes, "Mom, is that Dad?" And Teddy heard it, and he was so kind, and he just had a sweet chuckle and was like, "Is that your boy?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, honey, not Dad, just a 3-time Super Bowl champ. I know it's easy to get them confused. So you have to handle it. Just roll with it, right? I mean, most people understand. Most people get it, and if not, they're monsters. No, I'm just kidding. But again, we handled both our stories with grace, and we're just hoping that you guys can learn from us.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of moments in our everyday life that we can all relate to and laugh about later. So feel free to share yours in the comments. Be sure to check us out on Instagram if you don't already follow Babes in Sports podcast. And we really hope that you spread the word and continue to make this a really fun, evolving experiment where we try to figure out podcasting, we try to figure out momming, and we try to figure out the idea of doing it all in the world of sports. So we've had a blast so far, and hopefully we'll have some awesome guests coming on very soon. But Tor, thanks so much for joining me. As always, have a great week.
Thanks, James. Love you, babes.
You got me, you got me, you got me. Feel